Hello, it's Around the World in 30 Minutes. The headlines. New evacuation order issued for Brentwood and Encino suburbs. Germany plans new Homeland Security Army division. And then plus in Lebanon, new president sparks hopes for Mideas stability. Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Alhamdulillah. We begin with fire crews will continue to battle 6 blazes that have torn through Los Angeles, leaving thousands without homes and power. The Palisades fire, which began on Tuesday morning, remains the largest of the blazes and covers an area of more than 21,500 acres between Santa Monica and Malibu. The Eden fire north of Pasadena is the second largest, scorching more than 14,000 acres. The 4 other fires are Kenneth, Lydia, Horst, and Asha. Those fires are significantly smaller, covering a total of approximately 2,200 acres combined. Across Los Angeles, local authorities say more than 144,000 people are under evacuation orders. There are currently 6 fires burning across the city, all with separate evacuation orders and warnings. Earlier, a mandatory evacuation warning was implemented for the Palisades fire for areas to the east of where it is burning. Included in the warnings are the suburbs of Brentwood and Encino. Also under warnings are the exclusive Calabasas area, home to the Kardashians, and parts of Malibu. Currently, there are 37 evacuation orders and 28 warnings related to the Palisades fire. The second largest fire, the Eden fire, has 54 evacuation orders and 36 warnings. Many of the warnings and orders lay to the south of the Eden fire, near Pasadena. The Horst, Kenneth, Lydia, and Acha fires have no evacuation warnings at the moment. Students at the University of California, Los Angeles, have also been told to get ready for a possible evacuation. There is not an evacuation alert, the university says in a statement, but adds that an evacuation warning has been issued to a zone adjacent to the university, UCLA, due to the Palisades fire. The university says students on campus should remain vigilant and be ready to evacuate should the alert be extended to the campus. The UCLA campus is close to an area of the Palisades fire where a new mandatory evacuation order was issued earlier today. The order was extended to cover parts of the Interstate 405 freeway and the Encino Reservoir. Moving ahead to Germany, Germany's military, the Bundeswehr, on Saturday confirmed it would establish a major new land forces unit dedicated to securing vital infrastructure and military facilities inside the countries. As part of the new structure, the Homeland Defense Forces will be placed under the Army's command from April. The move anticipates Germany's existing army divisions being employed to NATO's external borders under NATO command as a deterrent or to defend against external aggression. The German Defense Minister, Boris Pistorius, last year ordered a Bundeswehr recognition to strengthen its defense capabilities with a unified operational command. Its establishment comes in line with the Osnabrück Decree, which aims to make Germany combat-ready for war against Russia in light of the invasion of Ukraine. At the time, the minister referred to the changed situation and the need to survive militarily in a defensive war. While Germany already has homeland defense units, these are generally non-active and made up of reservists, coming under the control of commands from Germany's individual states. The latest moves will make them semi-active under the command of the army. The division is to consist of active soldiers and reservists. The decree, the 4th regulation to restructure and Bundeswehr in its history, means that national and alliance defense is once again the focus due to heightened concerns about Russian aggression. It provides the formal basis for a war-ready leadership organization. Military planners expect the unit to be formed in mid-March and to number some 6,000 personnel by the summer before being expanded further. The Bundeswehr currently has more than 260,000 personnel, including civilian staff. This comprises the Army, Navy, and Air Force, as well as medical and other support services. Currently, the Army comprises 3 divisions. The addition of a 4th major unit dedicated to homeland defense marks a significant enhancement of the Bundeswehr's capabilities. While the move was initially put on ice after the collapse of the coalition government in November, preparations are continuing. Germany's CDU and CSU Conservative Alliance, currently leading the polls ahead of a February 23rd parliamentary election, says it wants to go further than the model already put forward by the center-left-led outgoing government of Chancellor Olaf Scholz. The Bundeswehr says the Homeland Defense Division will be charged with the protection of ports, railway facilities, and freight shipment points, as well as pipelines. It will also guard roads for troop deployment, bridges, transport hubs, and digital infrastructure, the military said. Such capabilities are seen as particularly crucial should the rest of Germany's army be deployed to countries on the eastern flank of NATO, such as Poland or the Baltic states. The division will also safeguard Germany's role as an operational base and hub for NATO. As such, it will be tasked with defending both national and alliance property in times of crisis or conflict. It could also be used to give administrative assistance in the event of major accidents, terrorist attacks, or future pandemics. An army spokesman on Saturday said the division would lead its own and, if necessary, other troops as part of national territorial defense in the event of assistance in civil-military cooperation and in the implementation of joint Bundeswehr attacks in the area. Moving on to Lebanon, and with the election of the Lebanon's new president Joseph Aoun on Thursday, January 9th, a 2-year period marked by a political vacuum under a previous caretaker government has ended. Aoun was seen as the candidate that can bring stability after much instability in Lebanon. Kelly Patillo, a Middle East researcher at the European Council of Foreign Relations, told the news agencies. And yet the election was not easy, they added. In an initial round of voting, Aoun did manage to secure the 86 votes needed to pass a candidate as president, Patillo explained. The political Hezbollah faction, as well as its parliamentary ally, the Amal movement, had abstained from voting, she said. Lebanon's military wing of Hezbollah is considered a terrorist group by several countries, including the US and the European Union. In contrast, its political wing is represented in parliament and is heavily involved in the social welfare issues. Before the second round of voting took place, Hezbollah and affiliated movements from the Lebanese Shia community were guaranteed that voting for Aoun was the only way to bring in much-needed regional and Western support into the country, whose economy is in tatters. She added that the Shia parties were also guaranteed enough representation in the new Lebanese government. So, based on that, there was a second round in which Aoun eventually managed to get the majority of 99 votes of the 128 seats in parliament, Patillo said. Meanwhile, state leaders from Iran, Israel, the United States, France, and many others have congratulated Joseph Aoun, who is not related to the previous president Michael Aoun. Today, a new phase in Lebanon's history begins, General Aoun, who aided the Lebanese army until this week, told lawmakers in Beirut after being sworn. The 61-year-old Joseph Aoun, who was appointed army chief in March 2017, had captured Lebanese armed forces out of the conflict between Israel and Hezbollah, which has escalated after 12 months of limited fighting into 8 weeks of war during Hezbollah was significantly weakened and more than 3,000 people were killed. Lebanon's presidential elections were announced in late November, a day after the beginning of the 60-day ceasefire between the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah and Israel. The vote on Thursday took place some 2 weeks before the official end of the ceasefire. Joseph Aoun's most urgent task is now to consolidate the ceasefire. As part of the agreement, Lebanon's military will have to deploy troops alongside United Nations peacemakers in South Lebanon. Israel, in turn, has to withdraw its troops from Lebanese territory, while Hezbollah will need to deploy its forces some 40 kilometers north on Lebanon's Litani River. All will ensure that the Lebanese army will abide by the ceasefire agreement with the financial and political support of the West and other pro-Israeli countries. Lorenzo Trombetta, a Middle East analyst and consultant for United Nations agencies who has lived in Beirut for the past 20 years, told news agencies. Also, Hezbollah was forced to recognize the new reality on the ground after this autumn's defeat on the ground and the loss of its leader Hassan Nasrallah. He added, "This view is echoed by Terry Petillo. There have been huge shifts in terms of Hezbollah and Iran's influence as they suffered major blows as a result of the war in Gaza and its spillover to Lebanon," she said, adding that end of Syria's Iran-backed Assad regime has also weakened Hezbollah and Iran. And yet, it remains to be seen if Israel and Hezbollah, who have been accusing each other of violating the ceasefire and have threatened to end it should either side breach the conditions, will comply. Meanwhile, the still acting Lebanese caretaker Prime Minister Najib Mikati said on Friday that the state is about to begin disarming in southern Lebanon. "We are in a new phase," Mikati said, explaining that in this new phase, we will start with South Lebanon and South Litani specifically in order to pull weapons so that the state can be present across Lebanese territory. This is expected to be one of Mikati's last statements as caretaker prime minister. One of President Joseph Aoun's first jobs will be to appoint a new prime minister as soon as possible. According to the country's established power-sharing system, the prime minister has to be the Sunni Muslim, the president has to be a Maronite Christian, and the Speaker of Parliament a Shiite. One of the new Prime Minister's major tasks will be to oversee a series of economic reforms needed to meet the demands of international creditors and the International Monetary Fund. Without international funds, the economically destitute country will struggle to cope with the skyrocketing inflation or the much-needed reconstruction effort for large parts of the country's southern region and Beirut suburbs. General Aoun is known to be a good executor of orders, analyst Trombetta said, adding that he is expected to fulfill his patron's agenda. The US, Saudi Arabia, and other countries have indicated that Aoun's election win paves the way for their investment plans and manage the promised financial aid to Lebanon for physical reconstruction, infrastructural reconstruction, political and financial reforms, and to reshape of the army. And to now round up, the thousands of South Koreans have been continued to gather for rival protests in Seoul as investigators prepare another attempt to arrest suspended President Yoon Suk-yeol over his short-lived martial law decree amid warnings against potential bloodshed. Protesters, both for and against Yoon, gathered in sub-zero conditions along major roads in the center of country's capital on Saturday, either demanding his arrest or calling for his impeachment to be declared invalid. Yoon has been resisting arrest in standoff between his guards and investigators last week after his failed December 3rd power grab plunged South Korea into its worst political crisis in decades. On Friday, Park Chung-yoon, Bill's chief of security, resigned from his post after being investigated for blocking the impending president's arrest. Park warned that any further efforts to detain the ex-leader must avoid violence. He told reporters that the current attempt to arrest Yoon was wrong and that there should not be any physical clash or bloodshed under any circumstances. The country has bristled with tension for weeks after Yoon directed soldiers to storm parliament, where they unsuccessfully tried to prevent politicians from voting down martial law. Since the failed martial law attempt, the Parliament has impeached Yoon, and he has been suspended while awaiting a final decision from the Constitutional Court about his removal. In the meantime, prosecutors carried out a separate investigation and had secured a court order for Yoon's arrest and detention, which the presidential security defied. The arrest warrant expired on Monday. Kim Jong-un has taken over from Park as chief of Yoon security. He is expected to lead efforts to prevent the execution of a second arrest warrant. According to news reports, Yoon's guards have reinforced his sole compound with barbed wire installations and bus barricades. The CIA said it will prepare thoroughly for its second attempt to arrest Yoon and warned that anyone obstructing them could be detained. The National Office of Investigation, a police unit, has also sent a note to high-ranking police officials in Seoul requesting they prepare to mobilize 1,000 investigators for the new attempt. Yonhap News Agency reported if Yoon is taken into custody, he would become the first sitting South Korean president to be arrested. And this is the size of the news around the world in 30 minutes with me, Alonzo Lawrence. Thank you for listening, and it's bye for now.